Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, we have started reading quite complex texts together, which we will do again today, because it is only through lots of practice that the cases of Sanskrit become part of our understanding. No matter how much we hear it, it is just practice that really helps. But before that, let us continue with the meanings of the letters. So here is the letter Kha. Most of you know this already. And it is a very important letter in that it has the meaning of space, Akasha, and also sky. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a question, Kam Brahma, what is the absolute reality? And the answer is Kam Brahma, it is Kam, it is the letter Kha. And that is because the absolute reality is like space, it is all-pervading, and yet it has no substance, it has nothing that we can touch, and we cannot even say that space is like this or that it is like that. It is there, but we can't really say what it is. So the absolute reality is also like that. Similarly, Kha also has the meaning of shunya, empty. But very often, nowadays, shunya is taken to mean nothing. But it doesn't mean nothing, actually. It just means empty. Empty, like a vessel is empty, but still the vessel is there. So similarly, the absolute reality is also known as shunya, that which is empty but not nothing. Kha is also a word for senses. And this is because Kha also means openings, something that opens up. So if you consider our senses as openings to our body through which we receive information, our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our ears, our skin, we receive information, so they are like openings. And in the Kathopanishad, there is a beautiful verse, Paranchikani Vyatrinat Svayambhuhu, that the self-born one, that is the Brahma, the creator, pierced open the khas. Kha means openings. He pierced open the openings, the senses. Paranchikani Vyatrinat Svayambhuhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Nantaratman. That is why one looks outward and not within. Because Brahma pierced our senses outward, opening out towards the outer world, therefore one perceives outward, not within, not the Atma within. Kaschit dhira pratyagatmanam aikshat avritta chakshur amritattvamichan. But some wise person, turning their vision inward, perceive the inner self. By turning our vision inward, avritta chakshu. It very literally means by turning our eyes inward, by turning the eyes inward, by turning the attention inward, rather than only outward. So that is a very beautiful meaning of Kha. Another meaning is Kalyana, which means auspiciousness, like Mangalam. We talked about auspiciousness many times. But what people often do not know is that Kalyana is made up of two parts, Kalyam Anam, which is the sound of the morning. Kalya is the sound of the early morning when the sun has risen and the birds begin to express their liveliness. The bees begin to fly around looking for nectar, and there is the freshness atmosphere. That is called Kalyanam, actually. That sense of freshness and auspiciousness which we experience in the morning. It's very beautiful. And that is another meaning of Kha. And then there are many meanings here, but maybe one more. Garuda. Garuda is the Vahana of Vishnu. Garuda flies through space. And in the Vedas, Garuda has a very special role. He's the divine bird that captured the soma, the nectar, and brought it to humans in this world. So there are many verses in the Vedas where Garuda flies to the loka of the devas and brings the amrita, brings the nectar. But this has a deep symbolic meaning that Garuda is our soaring samadhi attention. And when our attention reaches that full state of concentration, where it soars beyond the mere bounded physical experience, then the nectar is released from our Brahmarandra, from our top chakra, and that nectar is brought down into the subtle body, into the physical body, which is why the yogis experience bliss. When samadhi, the stronger the samadhi becomes, the greater the bliss experience is. So you see, these Vedic stories have many layers of meanings. It's not just the external Garuda who is flying to the realm of light, to the devas, but it is actually also our own attentiveness, our attention, concentration, which reaches the highest stage, and then the nectar is released. So with this, let us go back to our study of the text. Someone asked us to show the letter again. Here you go. So this one is just the logo of Sarvamangala. So the blue one you have to look at. So now don't be scared of the perhaps seemingly difficult text. Oh, no, this is the whiteboard. This is not the one I wanted to share. Here. Yes. Okay. I hope you can see this well. Oh, wait, I have to make it larger. Okay. Yes. So now, please, all of you, try to join in. Mahalakshmi ji is always very engaged. So like her, please, everyone also try to join in. Don't have any fear of Sanskrit. I think the worst we can have is to fear Sanskrit. It is actually very easy because it's very structured, very logical. So now here you have Eka Samaye. And on this side, again, just to remind all of you, are the cases. You can unmute yourself on your own, if you like. And what case is Eka Samaye? The first. If you look at this here, it can only be one kind of case. The seventh one, like Rame. And to remind you, the seventh case has the meaning of inside something, or in, or within. Therefore, The word samaya, you might know from Hindi or Gujarati or South Indian languages also. Eka samaye means? Anyone?
One time.
In the same.
Yes, at one time, Or that means once upon a time in English. Yes. And then we have rishi, and rishi is not found here because it is an e-ending word, but based on the structure here, you can see it is like Rama, rishi, harihi are similar. So rishi is the first case and it means a rishi. Now if you look at the next word, shishyaihi.
I think we are not seeing you.
It vanished, I think. Hold on a moment. Yeah, now it's back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So eka samaye rishi shishyaihi. What case is that?
Third.
It's the third case, and not just singular, but plural. So we usually say it is third case plural in order to be very precise. And does anyone know the meaning of the word shishya?
Disciple.
A disciple. Disciple or student. Yes. So then the third case, do you know the meaning of the third case?
By students.
By or with? With
students.
Yes. So we have another word here, which is a new word for you all to learn today. Saha. Saha means together. So together with the students. Shishyaihi saha. And then, so far it's quite simple. Eka samaye. At one time, a rishi together with the students. Now it gets a little more complicated. Himalaya sarovara tire. So this is one long word, and a long word like this we call a compound, samasa. Other languages don't allow such long compounds. Only Sanskrit and, interestingly, German have such long compounds. English also has compounds, but usually not longer than 2 words. That is sort of the standard in English. So in English we can say something like a dreadlock. This just came to mind because of the jata of Shiva. A dreadlock, that's a compound, right? Where we bring 2 words together. But in Sanskrit and in German, you can have very long compounds. So if we look very closely in this compound, there are in fact 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. Hima, alaya, sarah, vara, and tira. But for practical purposes, we just point out Himalaya as 1 word, Sarovara as 1 word, and then Tira as 1 word. Himalaya, as you all know, is the Himalaya. But very literally, it means Himasya Alaya. Himasya is the 6th case. It means of snow. And Alaya means the place or the land. Therefore, Himalaya is the place or land of snow. And then Sarovara means the lake. Very literally, Saras is that which is fluid. It's a name of water. And Vara has the sense of choicest, best, noble. So Sarovara means a noble water, therefore a lake. And then we have Tira. I'm sure you should know Tira. Does anyone know the meaning of Tira? Tiram?
Shore.
Sorry? The shore, yes, the shore. And then, if you know that, And this tiram is neuter, like palam. So here you have only 3 options for tire, these 3. And we're not talking about 2 shores, it is not a dual. Therefore, this is the only one that remains. So it is also 7th case. And now how do we translate this compound? Himalaya Sarovara Tire. Would anyone like to try?
On the shore of Himalayas lakes.
Yes, of one lake. So Himalayasya Sarovarasya Tire. On the shore of a lake of the Himalaya. I hope everyone is following. If not, you just ask when it's not clear. This is a class, so don't feel ashamed. Gambhira Sadhani. Again, a compound made up of the word Gambhira, which means deep or profound, and Sadhani, which is also like Palam. And again, which case do you think it is?
Palam is single.
It's also 7th case, exactly. So, in profound sadhana. The word sadhana is a very interesting word. It comes from the root sad, which means to make something possible. Sadhayati iti sadhanam. And sadhana is that which makes something possible. That which makes the accomplishment of something possible. So the accomplishment of what? Moksha. But there are also other types of sadhana. There can also be a sadhana to become wealthy, or a sadhana to destroy others. But in this case, we are not talking about such kind of sadhana. We are talking about Gambhira sadhana, which is the sadhana towards liberation, towards freedom from samsara. So now we don't yet know what we really are saying in this sentence. All we know is, at one time, a rishi, together with students, on the bank or shore of a river of the Himalaya, in profound sadhana. That's what we are, where we are now. And now comes the word magna. You might know this from Hindi or Gujarati. Does anyone know magna?
Very engrossed.
Engrossed, yes. Immersed. Magna. And I'm going a little deeper now into Sanskrit. It comes from the root, maj. And maj means to immerse oneself. For instance, in water or in an activity. So to be immersed. Magna means immersed. And which case is magna? If you look at Rama here, what case does it seem to be?
1-1.
1-1. So it seems to be 1-1, immersed. And then there is the verb bhavati. Bhavati means he or she is. Now if we look at the whole sentence, which words are in 1-1 in the first case?
Sorry, what's the question, Acharya-ji?
Which words in this sentence are in the first case, 1-1? This is very important to see.
You're talking about the first sentence or the second sentence?
Yes, we're just talking about the first sentence still. This sentence.
Sishyaha.
No, my dear. No. What cases was, what was shishyehi?
Third.
It was third case. So which words are in the first case?
Rishi.
Rishi and
Magnaha.
And Magnaha. So that means Magnaha refers to the Rishi because they have the same case. You understand? Ekasamaye, at one time, a Rishi is immersed. So the Magna refers to the Rishi, not so much to the Shishyas, because the Shishyaihi Saha means together with the Shishyas. But Magnaha refers to the Rishi. So this is called the Anvaya of the sentence, is where you find the word that has the same case. The words that have the same case, and you bring them together so your understanding of the sentence becomes more and more clear. This is very important, my dears, because now this is sort of easy Sanskrit, but when Sanskrit becomes more complex, like in the Gita or in even more complex in the Ramayana, you can sometimes have a very long sentence, and then you don't know who is referring to what. And the solution is only to look at the cases first and to bring those words together. So, ekasamaye rishi magnah bhavati. There is a rishi who is immersed. Kasmin magnaha. In what is he immersed? Gambhira sadhane. Kutra magnaha. Where is he immersed? Himalaya sarovara tire. On the shore of a lake of the Himalayas. Kaihi magnaha. Kaihi saha magnaha. Together with whom is he immersed? Shishyaihi saha magnaha. And kada ekasamaye. When? At some point in time. Is this clear to you? Yes? Okay. Shishyaha rishim prichanti. What case is shishyaha? If you look at here, what case is shishyaha?
1-3.
It is 1-3. That means it is the first case, plural, and then rishim prichanti. Now it is rishim, no longer rishih. So like Ramah, Ramam, rishihi, rishim. Therefore it is which case?
2-1.
2-1. Second case, singular. The Shishyas, prichanti means they ask. The Rishi. Why is Rishi now in the second case? Because it is no longer the Rishi who is doing something. The Rishi is no longer the subject. The Rishi is now the object of the question. Therefore, he becomes the second case. That is how the first case turns into second case. Now the Shishyas are the subject and the Shishyas are asking the Rishi. Hey Guru. We don't have a chart for this yet, but I'll tell you it is called Sambodhana, the vocative case, when we address someone. Hey Rama. He Guru. But in Paninian Sanskrit, we don't call this a case. There is always a big discussion about this. That why is the Sambodhana not considered a case in Paninian Sanskrit, whereas in Western Sanskrit grammar, they call it a case. That is why in Western Sanskrit grammar, they say Sanskrit has 8 cases, whereas in traditional Sanskrit grammar, it has only 7 cases. But I won't go into this discussion. We are followers of Panini, so we just say this is Sambodhana. We don't say it is Ashtami Vibhakti. There is no Ashtami. So, Hey Guru, O Guru, Devatanam, Asuranam Cha. So first we stick with Devatanam. So now let's go one little step further. Devatanam, it looks like a little like Ramanam. But what is the difference? Someone asked earlier, is the root maj related to a word where we get the English root merge? It's a good question, my dear. There is an online dictionary called Etymonline. I want to show you this. So you type Etymonline, and then you go here, and you type the word, and it has thousands of words. You type the word merge, and yes, you are right, Bhavnisha. Wonderful. It comes from Majjanti, Sanskrit Majjanti. Very good. Very clever. Excellent. Wow. Bhavnisha, can I ask, are you studying linguistics, or was this just a guess?
I'm in university. I studied linguistics when I was at university, but just a little bit.
Okay, good. So then that's why you had this conclusion. Very good. But yes, excellent. Very good. Very good. So then you are right for this class. And you could also join the advanced class, Bhavnisha. I have an advanced class as well. This is very basic what we're doing here. So, but Devatanam it looks like Ramanam, sixth case, but there is a difference here that it is actually from the word Devata, which is like the word Radha. Radhanam, however, is the same as Ramanam. That is why it looks the same as Ramanam, but it is actually a feminine word, like Radha, all right? Devata. Whereas Asuranam is from the word Asura, which is like Rama, and therefore Ramanam, Asuranam. So we have 2 times the sixth case, and then we have the word Cha. Does anyone remember Cha? And so then Devatanam, Asuranam Cha.
Of Devatas and Asuras.
Very good. Kaha bhedaha asti. Kaha is the masculine word for a question. What? There are 3 words. Kaha and ka and kim. Ka if it is feminine. Kim if it is neuter. Kim phalam ichhasi. Which fruit do you want? Tava pita kaha asti. Who is your father? Tava mata ka asti. So the gender of the question word changes according to the context, according to the word's gender. And in this case, the word's gender is bheda, which is masculine, all right? And therefore we have to use kaha, bhedaha. Does anyone know the meaning of bhedaha?
Difference.
The difference. So then kaha bhedaha means?
What difference?
Yes, very good. So he guru devatanam asuranam cha kaha bhedaha asti iti. Iti is the end of something that has been spoken. So would someone like to translate the sentence?
Hey Guru, what is the difference between the Devata and Asuras?
Very good. Simple, right? And then we have Rishi Vadati, which is very simple because we had Rishi before. And Vadati is, we had in previous sessions, Vadati means he speaks. So Rishi Vadati means?
She speaks.
The Rishi speaks. And now the Rishi explains the answer to the question. Rishi vadati devaha sada sarvabhuta hite magnaha bhavanti. This is the first part of the sentence. Devaha sada sarvabhuta hite magnaha bhavanti. So some of you already know the meaning, but we have to go very precisely. Devaha is what case? Which case?
1-1.
Not 1-1. That would be Devaha.
Sorry, Deva.
Devaha is 1 is right, but not 1-1, but 1,
3.
3. Plural. Right? So it means the Devas. Sada is an adverb. Indeclinable, it means always. And then sarva bhuta hite. So here again, we look at, because hitam is like palam, and then it is which case? Again, we have only 3 options.
2.
7-1.
So it is again 7-1. Hitam means the benefit, the well-being or the benefit. Sarva bhuta hite.
Benefit of everyone.
The benefit of everyone, of all beings. Sarva is a pronoun, it means all. Bhuta means being, and here it doesn't mean ghosts. I know that you all like ghost stories, and I always joke that if you don't do sadhana well, you will all turn into ghosts when you die because of your attachments. It's a joke, but it's also true. So it's a true joke. But in this case, it is not bhuta in the sense of a ghost, but in the sense of being, a creature, a being. From the root bhu, to be, and bhuta is something that has come into being. Yeah, so very literally, it means that which has become, that which has come into being. Sarva bhuta hite, in the benefit or in the well-being of all or everyone, of all beings. Magnaha. Now we had magnaha before, but now which case is magnaha?
1-3.
1-3, very good, like Rama. And then bhavanti is simply the plural of bhavati. It means they are. So now in this part of the sentence, it's not yet finished the sentence, but in this part of the sentence, which words are in the first case?
Deva.
Yes, and? Yes, say
And Magna.
and magnaha are in the first case. That means devaha and magnaha belong together. Devaha magnaha bhavanti. The devas are immersed. Kasmin magnaha bhavanti. In what are they immersed? Sarva bhuta hite magnaha bhavanti. They are immersed in the well-being of all beings. Sarva bhutanam hite magna bhavanti. They are immersed in the well-being of all beings. Kada, when are they immersed in the well-being of all beings? Sada, always. So you understand, this is how we analyze a Sanskrit sentence. And this we do this up to the highest level. Kalidasa's Sanskrit is the highest level Sanskrit. We still do that when we study Kalidasa. So now these are beginner steps, but these are the same steps we do when we study the highest level of Sanskrit. The steps don't change. All right? So it's very important that you get this right, that you don't guess. Deva, sarva, sarva. Yeah, I understand this. Don't do that in Sanskrit. Sanskrit scholars are always very precise. They go very slowly, step by step. And then the second part of the sentence, asuraha svahite eva magnaha bhavanti. So first, what case is asuraha?
1-3.
1-3 again. And then, now you already know from the previous part, hite, but here the compound is sva hite. You might know sva from self. Yes. One's own self. Own self, exactly. Svahite, not sarva bhuta hite, but svahite.
One's own well-being.
In one's own well-being. And then there is a word here, eva. And this is a very important word in Sanskrit. It always comes in Sanskrit texts. Those of you who know the famous shloka, Tvameva Mata, Chapita, Tvam Eva. Tvam means you, You alone are the mother. Today is Mother's Day, by the way. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Tvam eva mata, cha pita, tvam eva. You alone are the father. So eva has this sense of emphasizing. And those of you who know Hindi, it is very good because in Hindi, eva is rendered as he, tum hi. So the Hindi he is the Sanskrit eva. It's exactly the same. Apne hit me he. Right? So sva hite eva. And then again we have the word magnaha, like in the previous sentence, bhavanti. So now this is baby steps, but still, again, which words have the same case? Which words are in the first case? Again,
Asuraha and Magna.
And Magnaha. You see, this is what you have to do all the time. And of course, my dears, I know this sounds boring now. Of course, it gets faster. The more you are used to Sanskrit, this gets faster and faster. And you don't have to ask each time the question and now which word is in the same case. It goes faster and faster. But important is that you don't skip this step, because otherwise you might sort of jump and you might not realize that now it is talking about asuraha. Yes? You might think it is still talking about devaha. So you have to be very precise. Now, would someone like to attempt the translation? Asuraha svahite eva magnaha bhavanti.
Asuras are always immersed in their own benefit.
Yes. Very good.
Their own developmental benefit.
That's right. That's right. Very good. And this is in fact the definition of asura by Shankaracharya in the commentaries. He takes apart the word asura and says asu means indriya sukha, and it means sva, selfishness, and then says ra is from the root ram, which means to delight, ramate, and svasmin asau ramate iti asuraha, one who only delights in their own pleasure or in their own sensual pleasure is called asura. So that is the difference between deva and asura. Whereas the devas are sura. Su means suftu, that which is good. And those who are immersed in that which is good are called suras or devas. All right? If there's any question, always ask. Manushya hridaye. Now the Rishi is still speaking. Manushya hridaye devatvam asuratvam cha mishritam asti iti. So we begin again very systematically. Manushya hridaye is like hridayam, is like phalam. So again, same thing. Manushya hridaye, what case is it?
One.
Manushya. Seven
Hriday.
one. Oh, 7-1. Yes, yes, yes. So it is like Pale, Manushya hridaye. And then the compound we would say Manushyasya hridaye or Manushyanam hridaye. So how will we translate this? Hridayam means?
In the human heart.
In the human heart. And then, now this is a new information. There is a suffix which we are using here now. Deva tvam, asura tvam. And you might know this from Hindi and Gujarati. It appears in Hindi and Gujarati. The suffix is used like the English suffix ness, for instance, when we say coolness or happiness. So devatvam means godliness. The state of something is done by the suffix tva. Very important suffix. This comes again and again in the texts, especially when it comes to works by Shankaracharya and great masters, this suffix again and again appears. So please note down this suffix. The new information you've learned today is really this word saha, which means together, and then this suffix tvam. Everything else was not really new. We are just practicing. But this suffix is very important. Devatvam means godliness, the state of godliness. And asuratvam then means what?
State of the where person is involved in only in his own self pleasures or
Sure. Yes. So we could say godliness and asuraness, right? But in English, if we say asuraness, this doesn't make much sense. So,
maybe.
so we can say, yes?
Devilish, yeah.
Yeah, if we like, we can say devilishness or something like that. Devilry, right? We might say in English, devilry. So, devatvam, asuratvam cha, mishritam asti. Now, mishritam, I don't know if you know the exact word, but you might guess it from your mother tongues. Mixed. Yeah? Mixed. And again, for Bhavnisha, for the linguist, I'm quite sure that the English word mixed is linguistically related to mishritam. It couldn't be a coincidence that they are so similar. What do you think?
I was just going to ask that. I'll look it up on Etym Online.
So, you see, the Etym Online is my favorite website in the world because, right, there's so much to do on it. So, yes, it comes definitely from that. So, from Sanskrit, mishra, see, mixed. So, it is definitely related, mixed and mishrita. So, then we have, so now the question again. Now, mishritam is not in the form like ramaha, but it is a neuter, mishritam, it's first case neuter. And now, which other words are in the first case neuter in this sentence?
Devatvam, ashratvam.
Exactly. So that means mishritam refers to these. That means these belong together. Manushya hridaye devatvam asuratvam cha mishritam asti iti. Who would like to attempt the sentence? Arunaji, would you like to try? You are new to this class, I think, somehow. Would you like to try, even though it may be not so easy, but just try anyway?
In human hearts,
Yes.
there is a godliness and devilness mixed. Sorry, I will just repeat again.
No, it's right. It's right. Very good. It's right. It's correct. Yeah, very good.
In human hearts, there is a godliness and devilness mixed.
Yes, mixed. Very good. So, wonderful. See, now all of you, we can transport you back in time, and I'm sure you would be able to get through in ancient India a little bit. You know, I don't know if you could.
Acharya, just one doubt about the tvam suffix.
Yes.
Tvam means when we talk about like tvam means it also refers to like you.
Sure. But that's the word tvam.
So I mean that now here it has like they have used ma with that I don't know what do we say on the bottom thing, what we call that,
Anuswara.
Yeah, sorry. So when we are writing you, this like we put the bindu on it, top on
yes,
it.
Yes.
Top. Is that the difference?
No, they are written exactly same. They are spelled exactly in the same way. So you can only
context-based
absolutely, and you can make word games. You can say devatvam, right? So it means O deva, you, and then devatvam means godliness, right? So you can play with that, and the great Sanskrit poets, they play with this.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank you.
Interesting.
So now let's see how far we get. We have 10 minutes left. I hope you like this story, but it's, we are going very detailed, right? To learn Sanskrit properly. Shishya punah prichanti. This is quite easy. What case is shishyaha? Let's go fast.
1-3.
1-3. And then punah prichanti. Punah, you should know from your mother tongues. Again. And then prichanti. Again asking. Right? So the students are again asking. Hey Guru, we already had that. Manushya hridaye, we already had. Devatvam, we already had. Now, katham vardhati. Katham, we also had in a previous session. Does anyone remember the meaning of katham?
Kya? Sorry, kya bola?
Katham is not kya, but how. How. Yes, I think Shilpaji said it. How. How. And vardhati. This should be, you should be able, this is the verb. You should be able to guess from your mother tongues what this could mean. You have to be a little creative. You know the noun, I'm sure you do.
Behta hai, maybe?
Sorry?
Behta hai?
Behta.
How it lives or something like that?
No. It's like...
Behaving?
I understand where that comes from, but Vardhan, you might have that in your mother tongues, right? Vardhan.
Blessing?
No, to grow. Maybe it is just my Hindi, I don't know. Balak ka vardhan, right? To growing of the boy, but maybe that is Sanskritized Hindi. So vardhati means to grow. Like vriddhi, right? Or vriddha. Vriddha is someone who has grown old. And then vardhate means to grow. So they are asking, Hey Guru, manushya hridaye devatvam katham vardhate iti. Iti is just...
How can you develop?
Yes.
The godly qualities.
Yes. So if you go very literally, how... Nutanji, if you go very literally, devatvam... Devatvam is godliness. So they are asking, Manushya hridaye devatvam katham vardhate. How does godliness grow in the human heart? You see? But you got the gist when you translate it. Does everyone see the grammar? How katham manushya hridaye devatvam vardhati. And in Sanskrit, you can play around. You don't need an exact sentence structure. You can say, Devatvam manushya hridaye katham vardhati. Or you can say, Katham manushya hridaye devatvam vardhati. It doesn't matter actually, because the cases are so clear that you don't have to have a sentence structure. Is everyone clear about the meaning? All right. Rishih vadati, we don't even have to translate. We had it already before. Rishih vadati. So it means?
Rishi speaks.
The Rishi speaks. Pratididam sarva bhutanam kalyanaya. Now this very long sentence. Pratidinam sarva bhutanam kalyanaya yah prarthanam karoti tasya hridaye shanei devatvam vardhate. So I'm sure most of you are guessing the meaning already, but let's go very literal. Pratidinam.
Every day.
Every day. Prati means every. Dinam means day. Every day. Sarva bhutanam is like sarva bhutam and then bhutanam. So, of all beings. Yeah. Kalyanaya is also like palam. But now here, what case is it?
Ramanam.
No, kalyanaya.
Sorry, Kalyana. Sorry.
Fourth one.
Fourth case.
4.1. Yeah, sorry.
Fourth case. And does anyone remember how we use the fourth case? How do we use it? In
Fourth
Hindi,
case is whom.
to whom? In Hindi, kiske liye, ke liye. Right? The fourth case in Hindi is ke liye. So, kalyanaya then means sarva bhutanam kalyanaya. Quite simple.
For the goodness of
Yeah.
every being.
Very good. For the happiness,
Of all
happiness
beings.
of all beings every day. Yah. Now this is also new grammatical information. Yah is the Hindi jo. He who. In English, we don't have a direct yah. In English, we have to say he who or she who. But in Hindi, we have it jo. Yah is jo, and then tasya, uska. Right? So these come together, yah and then tasya. So yah is jo. Yah pratidinam sarva bhutanam kalyanaya prarthanam karoti. Now look at prarthanam. What case is prarthanam? Prarthanam is like Radha. It is long A, so then it is like Radha. Prarthanam is therefore 2-1. It is like Radham. And karoti, does anyone remember the verb? Karoti?
Doing.
To do. So now you have almost half a sentence. Yaha pratidinam sarva bhutanam kalyanaya prarthanam karoti.
To pray for
Yes,
the beings every day.
exactly. Very good, Nutanben. And then what happens with such a person who prays for the well-being of all beings every day? Tasya hridaye. Tasya is the sixth case of saha, he, and means of him. His, it means his in English. Tasya uske. Tasya hridaye. Now hridaye we had several times. Here we have hridaye.
His heart.
In his heart. Shani. Slowly. Devatvam vardhati.
Oh.
We had that here. Devatvam.
Godliness grows.
Indwell.
Exactly.
Lord
Godliness
indwell.
grows.
Godliness will indwell.
Or yeah, that's okay. Or godliness grows in his heart slowly. Right? So he who prays for the well-being of all beings every day, in his heart, slowly, godliness grows. And then the last part of the sentence, devatvena cha sukham api vardhati. Now, what is devatvena?
3-1.
3-1, very good. And then, how will we translate it? Devatvena?
Through
By
with Devatas.
No, not Devatas. No, not Devatas.
Godliness, I guess.
Yes, with the godliness, because we just said that the godliness grows day by day, slowly in his heart, slowly grows. And with the godliness, sukham api vardhati.
Happiness will.
Happiness, sukh bhi badega.
Badega, exactly. So happiness also, api, also grows. Right? So it's a very simple but very clear teaching that when the godliness grows in the human heart, then also the happiness grows in the human heart. How does the godliness grow? How does it grow? By praying for the well-being of others. Why? Because that is what the devas are also doing. They are also immersed in the well-being of others. Therefore, the more we behave like devas, the more the godliness grows in the heart, and with that, also the nature of the devas, which is sukha, which is happiness, also grows. It's a very simple but clear teaching. Any questions about the grammar, or is it clear? Excellent. So,
Acharyaji, I
please.
have a doubt, but not class related, but I have a doubt regarding a small shloka.
Sure.
Can I ask now? Or?
Sure. So, sure. The class is over. So those who need to have a British English Earl's Grey breakfast tea, please go ahead. And Mahalakshmiji, please ask.
I actually came across that. Thank you very much, Acharya. Actually, I've been very eager to ask you this meaning of this sloka. I came across this mealtime prayer where it says, Annam Brahma Raso Vishnu Pakto Devo Maheshwaraha Evam Gyatva Tuyo Bhunte Anna Dosho Na Lipyate. I wanted to understand the symbolic meaning of it, actually.
So
this one, actually.
yeah, I think you have to put it a little closer. Wait, I will spotlight you here. So Annam Brahma Raso Vishnu, and then it says, I can't read it. It has
Pakto Devo Maheshwaraha. Evam Gyatva.
Pakto. Are you sure it is Pakto? Can you show me the closer up?
Pakto, yeah, Pakto.
Pakto Devo. Okay. Evam gyatva tuyo bhunkte anna dosho na vidyate or na lipyate. It says lipyate. Okay. I mean, the translation is quite simple, that the food is Brahma, the taste is Vishnu, and the pakta, this is, I'm a little doubtful that this is grammatically correct in your shloka. We would have to see the original, because it could be pakta actually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is pakta originally. That is the force of digestion.
Mm-hmm.
So
I wanted to understand the symbolic meaning, actually, because
sure.
they gave this one meaning of it in English, but I was not able to understand the real essence of it.
Sure. But first we need to get the literal meaning. So and then Pakta Devo Maheshwaraha. I'm quite sure, 80% sure it is not Pakto, but Pakta Devo Maheshwaraha. And then Evam Gyatva Chayo Bhunkte Anna Dosho Na Vidyate. So that one who, by knowing this or realizing this, enjoys the food, is not the error or the dosha, the fault of the food does not stick to them. Anna dosho na lipyate. Lipyate means to stick onto. So now there's many layers of meaning. We could spend a whole hour on this. You see, food has a certain, in modern language we might say, a certain energy. Food is not just food. There is always some subtle energy in the food, and you can feel that. For instance, when someone is has a very bad mood or very bad temper, or somehow their nature is energetically is sort of down, tamasic, we might say, in Sanskrit, then when they cook the food and you eat the food, something of that energy passes on to you. And you might suddenly feel a little, you might feel a little down, or your own energy somehow goes down. And everyone who does yoga, everyone who is a spiritual practitioner knows this. This is not imagination. This is not just, it's not because we believe this that this is so. There is really something objective to it. And now, this is called anna dosha. This is called the fault of the food. You understand? And now, in our traditions, many different ways of this purifying this fault were created. One of them is that the food is always first offered. By offering up the food, we are sort of connecting it with devatvam, with divinity, with godliness. And we can also, again, feel that a little bit, that when the food has been offered up, sort of the energy of that food changes. Usually there's some slight differences there. It's also because we've actually, we have circled it with water, and we have connected it with the 5 pranas, pranaya swaha, apanaya swaha, right? So there's a very subtle process. I'm sure you can see why I said we could spend an hour on it. Because you see, the 5 pranas are also linked with the 5 elements. And the 5 elements are linked with the 5 basic vayus in our body. So it's very subtle that the outer is linked with the inner. And we could go into very deep discussion of why offering and linking up the energy of the food with the 5 pranas as we offer it to the deities actually changes the way the food affects us when we eat it. It's very subtle, very subtle. But the point there is that the dosha, the anna dosha, is purified. Now, a different approach, which is, now this is the energetic approach, is to offer up the food. A different approach, the outermost is not to eat the food. And that is one approach, right? Is that we say, oh, no, we don't want to eat that food. And, we let someone else eat it. This is the approach which sometimes could upset people. Right, so that we are invited somewhere and we see the food and we think, oh dear, and we just say, oh no, I've already eaten. I don't know what, we give some explanation, but then we have to ask the question: are we telling the truth? And that always gets us into troubles, right? This outermost approach. But in the Indian tradition, there are always 3 approaches, and there's also a 4th approach, which is the secret one. But there are basically 3 approaches always. You can see this from the time of the Brahmana texts all the way down to the Upanishads, all the way down to the Agamas. There are always 3 approaches. One is the outermost, the Adhibhautika approach, the outermost. And this outermost approach is that we don't eat the food, right? That is where all the rules of Shaucha and Ashaucha come from. That is why people didn't eat in other people's houses, and all that, which can cause a lot of social problems, as you know. But then there is sort of the inner approach, which is that we offer up the food. And then that is related to the prana, and it is related to the inner energies of it. But then there is an even inner more approach, which is now the approach of this shloka, Mahalakshmiji. Now we come to the conclusion, which is that if we truly see the food as the manifestation of divinity, that annam brahma, raso vishnu, bhakta, the one who cooks it or digests it rather. Bhakta is the digestive fire. Bhakta is Maheshwara. And then if we truly realize this, evam gyatva, then the anna dosha automatically falls away. Because not only is the source of the food, the very substance of the food, the divinity, and the taste of the food and the digestive process, everything being divinity, the dosha ultimately just dissolves at that moment. It drops away because we have realized that the divinity is also present in the negative. You understand? So we have integrated the dosha and we have integrated the good and the bad. This is what the Upanishads call the anyatra dharmat, anyatra dharmat, anyatra smat krita kritat, which is going beyond the opposition of dharma and adharma, is actually the supreme realization. So the dosha falls away when we truly realize that the substance of that which is negative, which is in its appearance and in its manifestation seems to be negative, but its true reality is the divinity. When we really know that, then there is no dosha, and that dosha cannot stick to us. So very concretely, this might mean that we still experience that dosha for a moment. We experience that the energy sinks, but because we realize that this negative aspect is also divinity, we can just abide in the same state of awareness, and then the anna dosho nalipyate. Then the dosha of the food does not stick to us. Whereas if we don't realize the divinity, then the problem is that our mind will go along with the dosha. It will be sucked down by the apana vayu, by the lower wind, by the lower pranic force, and then we go into a sort of lower state of mind. So this is like a little science, really.
Oh, great. That's very deep meaning, actually, deeper than I thought. Thank you so much.
Acharya, just a quick question, sorry.
Please.
It's like food is Brahma and Vishnu is what?
The taste. The taste.
And three approaches. Outer approach, don't eat. Inner approach, eat, isn't it?
Offer it and realize that it is connected to the pranas, and purify the food and purify the process of digestion through the inner. And the innermost is realize the divinity of the food. And then through that, the dosha doesn't affect you.
Thank you.
So when we, when we say out this prayer, if we say out this prayer, then the real essence, what exactly should we be, in summary, what exactly should I be reminding myself?
Well, it's difficult on the level of the innermost. It is very difficult to talk in terms of should and shouldn't. Because the innermost is something that we discover through sadhana, through spiritual practice. It is not so much something that can be given as a should, you see? Whereas the outer two, they can be given as should instructions. But the innermost, you can't really say, you should, right? You can't say that. That's why the instruction is evam gyatva, having known that, having realized that. Chayo bhunkte. It is not thou shalt, right? So it's a little difficult. But Mahalakshmiji, what you can do is you can remind yourself that sarvam brahmeti vyajana, that everything is the divine reality. You can remind yourself of that, and that both the negative and the positive are resolved in that absolute reality. But then it should also be that, and we're quite over the time, we should also remember that also applies to things that we don't like. So the Ishavasya Upanishad says that Yasmin sarvani bhutanyatmanyevanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. That we have no grina, we have no aversion or disgust towards anything or anyone if we see that the reality of our true nature is present in everyone, and that everyone and everything is present in the reality of our true nature. So you see, this also applies to disgust. That means, Mahalakshmiji, that when you are disgusted by something, you also have to remind yourself of the same. You see, it's not only for good food.
Right.
It's for both. So don't make it too deep of a contemplation each time, because otherwise your food will get cold.
But thank you so much, actually, because I really, when I came across this prayer, I was quite intrigued because I was really eager to ask this one from you, because I heard your lecture about the symbolic meanings of the deities, and I was really bowled over, and I really look forward for more sessions on those symbolic meanings, which us commoners are completely unaware of, I think, because I think even our elders also didn't know the symbolic meanings, I guess. So it would be great if you could do some symbolic meanings on the deities, a special session on that. It would be really great. Thank you so much.
Well, as an answer to this point, I can only say that, you see, one also needs a good questioner. And we are not so creative in coming up with good answers if there are not good questions. So if you ask good questions, we can, try to give you good answers.
Oh, great. So I hope then I think in future, then I'll not shy away from asking my side of questions.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
was a bit unsure whether I should ask or not, but this one I couldn't stop myself.
Sure.
I was really eager to understand it.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and a great Sunday. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Ji.
Thank you, Acharya Ji. That was excellent.